Nick Fuentes is the perfect example of how a political movement can wrap extremism in irony, frustration, and authenticity. And suddenly, people who don't share his worldview find themselves nodding along. And clearly, that is not an accident. That's the entire strategy of America First. If you've spent any time on the political side of the internet, you already know who Nick Fuentes is. A far right commentator who's recently been catapulted into the mainstream because he's saying the quiet part out loud about Israel. And what's wild is that he's pulling in people from both the left and the right, not because his politics randomly changed, but because the moment has changed and he's adapted to it wonderfully. It starts with the clips, the rants, the insults, and his chaotic irony, his humor. He talks to his viewers like they're annoying roommates, and people eat it up because he seems real. He seems like the one real guy who is advocating for the people. The hostility is charming. The irony is a shield, and his extreme views are just, it's just jokes. It's just jokes. So people, even like moderates and radicals, whoever, they trust him. They do. But here's what gets lost in all of this. Nick doesn't hate Israel for the reasons you probably hate Israel. He doesn't care about genocide, apartheid, occupation, displacement. He hates Israel because he believes it has unnatural influence over American politics, especially over Mr. Donald J. Trump, who he supported vehemently in his first election and stuff. His main example is the Adelsons, and mine as well. Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million during the 2020 cycle. She was born in Tel Aviv, served in the IDF, and is deeply tied to Israeli political networks. For Nick, that's the entire story. That's the whole frame. Israel influences America. Trump's compromised. It's why the second Trump took power, he goes in. And even during Trump's second presidency, Nick's only consistent praise has been about Trump's immigration policy, which he doesn't even like that much because he's not taking it far enough. Everything else, he's attacked Trump for being too influenced, too compromised, too soft. Stuff with Jeffrey Epstein. But this has really been resonating with Gen Z because we're pissed off. Here's where I had to check myself, honestly. Why do people like me and a lot of young people who would normally despise Nick's worldview because it is violent and extreme find ourselves occasionally, more than occasionally, resonating with things that he says? It's not because we're sliding right. It's not because we're becoming Nazis. It's because he's tapping into something older generations already understand, but Gen Z is seeing the face of. We don't understand what the word is, what the strategy is. It's populism. Nick takes our legitimate frustration and oppression about war, corruption, inequality, the collapse of trust in all institutions, our government, and funnels it straight into solutions that, in my opinion, and I think should be your opinion as well, will not fix anything. He doesn't want to dismantle the systems hurting us. He wants to redirect our anger into preserving the system, but destroying the people who are also being oppressed, maybe just slightly less or more. And that's why I call America First MAGA 2.0. It's not much different. Anyone can agree with a cherry-picked Nick Fuentes clip where he's roasting the establishment. Even some of his more inflammatory clips go viral because of the way he wraps them in irony. He has plausible deniability for everything he says because he's always making a joke. He positions himself as the sole defender of the working white American, a victim of a massive, shadowy, deep state establishment. The movement becomes a collective grievance machine, not a political project with real solutions. People are just mad. That's all it is. Trump was America First light. Same worldview, nationalism, protectionism, right-wing populism. But the difference between MAGA in 2015 and America First in 2025 is simple. MAGA's in power. Trump can't pretend to be the outsider championing for the oppressed working people when he's literally holding power. Gen Z sees this very clearly, and the betrayal hits hard. Because even with MAGA in power, things are not better. They're clearly fucking worse. And come on, you gotta be honest. And when the revolutionary movement becomes the system, the people who still want change look for something even more radical. That's how movements like America First grow. America First wants to finish what MAGA started, but without the guardrails. More radical, more aggressive, less liberal, and much more openly authoritarian reforms. If America First ever gains real power and targets the enemies which they are identifying and they believe are obstructing American liberal capitalist greatness, they will pursue them with full force. The rule of law will not matter. But none of it will fix the actual economic system causing that pain. And if they do restrict the economic system, we'll end up with a nationalist welfare state for insiders. Exactly the model which Hitler and Netanyahu have sort of built. Not exactly, but you see what I'm saying. But here's the thing that I think I need all people to recognize. America First is everything Groypers claim to hate about Israel. Israel is the ultimate country first nation. It is Israel first in all policy. They're nationalist, they're ethnically favoritist, they are very aggressive militarily, they are a welfare state for the insider group, and settler expansion. The Groyper critique of Israel is literally the blueprint for the society they want the US to become, just with a different people. If every country adopted Israel first, America first ideology, what you get is not peace or stability. You get a global cage match. You get permanent conflict. You get mutual destruction, especially in the age of nuclear warfare. In trying to build America into a version of Israel they think they can control, they become the enemy that they claim to vehemently despise. So eventually, when Nick and America First is the establishment, there is only one place to go, even further right. The same type of critique from Nick to Trump now will be the Groypers to Nick in the future, if he and his movement are powerful. If you're a conservative young person, you must see where this is heading. And if you don't, you're doomed to do exactly what you just did with MAGA. Abandon the populist movement and move more violently and more radical. Please consider what I'm saying, and thank you for watching.